You are Locked On Braves POSTCAST, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, your team every day.
Tough night at the ballpark for the Atlanta Braves as they face the Chicago Cubs in the middle contest of a three-game series and came up short in extra innings by a 6-3 final score. Welcome to the Braves Postcast, part of the all-new Locked On Sports Atlanta. I'm Grant McAuley. He is Jake Mastroianni, and we're going to take you all the way back through this game and live the highlights and I guess the lowlights of this one, and of course get you set up for the finale in Game 3 as Kyle Wright will be on the mound, and the Braves will still be looking for that first series win of 2022. Before we get into all we have for you on today's show, I want to remind you to hit subscribe here on YouTube to the Locked On Sports Atlanta page, and make sure you click the bell to get notifications wherever or whenever we drop a new episode. And be sure to subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast wherever you get your podcasts. You'll get all these postcast feeds as well as all the great stuff that Jake is bringing you all season long. So make sure you subscribe there to get all the good stuff that we're doing. Jake, there was some good stuff for the Braves on this night. It felt like maybe the tide was starting to turn. Maybe the 2022 Braves were starting to pick up the formula of the Braves of the not-so-distant past, but it was not to be as Atlanta came up short in extras on a night where it seemed like they were grinding it out and just kind of ran out of steam maybe once we got to extra innings.
Yeah, it did. Like we talked about beforehand, it looked like it was a night that was not going to be so much fun, turned into a lot of fun, and then some really, really not so much fun. So that sums it up right there, Grant. We can call it.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a roller coaster, I think, for the Braves on this night. It started out kind of in hopes that Charlie Morton would get himself on track. That did not happen in this game. Then, of course, we saw the offense, that was opportunistic, I would say, in game one, not really making the most of their opportunities over the first 7 innings of this game, but that would change later on. Let's get you inside the line score for this one. Let you know how this whole thing played out as the Braves played their 19th game of the 2022 season. So we are over 10% of the way through the season, but a lot of baseball left to be played. Cubs pick up the win in 10 innings, 6 runs, 11 hits, no errors, 10 men left on base for Chicago. They are now 8-10 on the year. Braves dropped to 8-11 after this loss, 3 runs, 8 hits, no errors, and 11 men left aboard. David Robertson picked up the win in relief. He was clutch for the Cubs to shut down the Braves, to get out of the 8th inning trouble, and to blank the Braves in the 9th. Tyler Matzik, meanwhile, came on with the free base runner on for the Cubs. That immediately scored, and Patrick Wisdom's home run made it a 3-run rally for Chicago in the 10th inning that led them to this victory. Matzik takes the loss in relief. He's 0-1. Rowan Wick with the save, his first. Game lasted 4 hours and 4 minutes. A crowd of 30,362 were on hand to see it. And Jake, let's start with what was going on with Charlie Morton. We were hoping to see him maybe find a little something in this one that he could start building some momentum again. But this just seemed like one where command was just not there for the Braves veteran right-hander. And this is 3 kind of troubling starts in a row now.
Yeah, it is. And look, I'm going to blame it on myself because this is twice now that I've said Charlie Morton's going to bounce back. We're not going to see that Charlie Morton again. And yet we do. And like you said, it's now 3 times in a row. And that's enough for me to be a little concerned. Again, I think he'll figure it out. He's 38. He's a veteran. He's been a really good pitcher in this game for a while. It seems right now it's just he doesn't have a feel for his command, and his command's off. You look at the walks, 10 walks over his last 3 starts. Yep. The velocity is fine. The movement on the pitches are fine. He's just not quite there yet. And we talked about it last time. I think maybe we were just teased a little bit in his first outing because he was so good there. Clearly, I think he's got some things to work on coming back from the injury, trying to get hold of that command. And I really think that's all it is, which gives me hope that, again, he will figure it out. But we're at the point now that until we see it, I don't know what to make of Charlie Morton when he goes out there every 5th day or 6th day.
Yeah, I mean, you're not getting what you expect out of him, but I think this is kind of part and parcel to not having as much time to maybe knock some of the rust off in spring training, certainly. But it's one thing to be said, I think, for Charlie to get ready and have that good first outing, and because you're preparing and you're getting yourself all the way up to that point. But the thing about the Major League season that's so tough, yeah, a starting pitcher is not going out there 162 times, but now it's every 5th day. You have to be able to continue to give your club that same level of consistency. And I think for Charlie, maybe it's still just trying to find that. I had some folks on Twitter ask me, do I think the baseball is involved with it? Like what Major League Baseball has done to those? Unless or until Charlie Morton or anybody really says something about that, I'll kind of put it over to the side, maybe in the maybe pile that could be something. But I think it's more of a consistency of release point, maybe some little mechanical thing that maybe we can't even really see, but Charlie's feeling that has him missing so much so with his breaking ball and just not being able to spot his fastball. It's kind of it's almost like Kyle Wright and Charlie Morton kind of switched bodies here from what we saw from Wright for all the times that he was given an opportunity to establish himself in the big leagues. And now we see Wright taking a page out of what made Charlie Morton so successful some years ago. And it's like a role reversal for these two. It's kind of strange.
It is, and to the point about the baseballs, look, why are the baseballs working for Kyle Wright and Max Fried, but not for Charlie
Sure.
Morton? I don't really, I don't really buy that excuse. And like you said, Charlie's not making an excuse or saying anything about it. So until he does, I don't think that's an issue. Like you said, and I said as well, I think it's just a mechanical issue. Look, this guy had a very serious leg injury in his last game of the season, and he's still working his way back, just finding that release point and the walks. I mean, again, 10 walks in his last 3 games. He's walked at least 3 batters in his last 3 outings. That's not the Charlie Morton that we are used to seeing. Again, I think he just has to get it figured out, get back out there and do it. Like I said, until he does it, though, I am a little bit concerned about him because this 3 starts in a row. But again, I have faith in him that he will figure it out. A little bit of a slow start last year as well for Charlie Morton. So, again, he'll get there, and I think it is just something as simple as him finding that release point, maybe a little bit of mechanical flaw, and getting more control of his pitches. And once that happens, then I think we'll see the Charlie Morton that we're used to seeing.
Yeah, it could all click at that point. Right now, though, through 4 starts, Charlie's thrown 18 innings. He's allowed 21 hits, 14 earned runs, 3 home runs, 11 walks for him overall against 15 strikeouts, and opposing hitters now up almost to 300 against him in terms of opponents' batting average. So, not exactly the stats you were expecting out of a Charlie Morton that we have seen for a number of years become one of the better right-handed pitchers in baseball and one of the anchors of the Braves pitching staff last year. But as you mentioned, Charlie went through a little bit of I would say a traumatic event, if you will, in the World Series. There's really no way around that. So to have the expectation that he just comes back and shrugs that off like it never happened, I don't know that that was altogether realistic. And some of the other circumstances that played out with the shortened spring training and whatnot probably did not help his cause either. But you don't hear Charlie Morton making a lot of excuses. He's going to try to learn what he can from the start and carry over and make the adjustments he can on the side and come back in 5 days and give the Braves hopefully a better outing. We'll get to a little bit more of what went on in this game and, of course, get you set for game 3 of the series. But I want to let you know this episode of the Locked On Braves postcast is brought to you by Athletic Greens. And right now is the time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. Just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Visit athleticgreens.com/MLB network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. That's athleticgreens.com/MLB network. What we did see after Charlie Morton left was some very good work out of the Braves bullpen, Jake. 6 2/3 innings of scoreless baseball until the Cubs finally broke through in the 10th. Jesse Chavez, again, that's kind of a nice pickup for the Braves, like an under-the-radar one, certainly. To add him back in, Colin McHugh had a bounce back. AJ Minter looked good. Then we got to see the debut of William Woods, who was activated and brought up after Eddie Rosario landed on the injured list. I liked what I saw from him. I know this is just our first look at this kid, but it seems like he's got some big arm and some promise, and the Braves have identified him as somebody we need to have our eye on because they certainly do.
Yeah, again, and not somebody, too different from Spencer Strider. Obviously, this William Woods is going to be a reliever. I know Strider still has some upside potential as a rotation piece, but, just a guy that throws really hard. I thought maybe he's a little amped up early on and was missing, up out of the zone a little bit, but came back to get the strikeout. So, yeah, good stuff from him, and continue to see what he can do if he can be a big piece of that bullpen. And the Braves are looking for some more right-handed arms to be able to hold down the back end of the bullpen. So perhaps William could be one.
Yeah, perhaps he could. We also saw Kenley Jansen in this one. He did his job, also tossed a scoreless inning, but it was the 10th inning that turned out to be the undoing for Tyler Matzik and the Braves. As again, the free runner doesn't help. That really sets you back, I think. And yeah, both teams have to deal with it. I just cannot get myself used to the idea of free base runners in Major League Baseball that don't get on somehow, whether that's making the team put the ball in play and force them to make an error, drawing a walk, getting hit by a pitch, catcher's indifference, base hit, whatever to hit by pitch, whatever it happens to be. I feel like you should have to earn your way on, but that's a whole nother thing that we could waste the rest of the night on. We're not going to do that. But the Braves come up short in extras, but it is worth kind of looking. I think in the eighth, we got a little bit of excitement as the Braves, they sparked that 2-out rally, which was Alex Dickerson, of all people, with an opposite field single getting aboard. Adam Duvall was involved. A big bases loaded walk or a walk to load the bases from Travis Demeritte. He had a lot of balls put in play in this game where it seemed like he was just this close to picking up a hit, 2 hits, maybe even 3 hits on the night. But that walk, he did not expand his zone just looking for a home run when he went up there. That's good to see from a young hitter who's still trying to, grow his game. And what has he been able to prove over the last few years to the Braves that he has elevated and earned this opportunity? That walk to me was a little something. It may turn into nothing in a 6-3 loss, but Dansby Swanson's 2-run single that followed, that was another good sign, because those are the kind of moments that even when Dansby goes through these long cold spells like we saw to start this season, he has these moments in him throughout the course of the 162 and even a couple in October, as it turns out.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you're looking for from Dansby. And another good at bat. You mentioned a good at bat from Travis Demeritte. I mean, a young kid, like you said, trying to make a move, make a statement at the big league level, to have that type of patience to take those pitches and just take a walk. That is a huge at bat there. But yes, Dansby Swanson, a great bat in his own right, and then able to take that pitch the other way to tie the game up. Again, another moment I was jumping out of my seat. Game flipped on its head. I thought, here we go. Braves comeback, going to win this game, win this series, and just was not to be. But like you said, don't want it to overshadow the fact that those were 2 really good at-bats by Alex Dickerson, Travis Demeritte, and Dansby Swanson. I know Duvall had the hit as well that just dropped in. So some really good bats. The bottom of the order did their job tonight. I mean, they got on base. They set up the top of the order, just weren't able to come through. I believe they were 2 for 13 with runners in scoring position in this game. That's not going to get it done. Ozzie had a rough night. Ozuna had a rough night as well. So, I mean, the bottom of the order did what they were supposed to do. They got on base. They scored the runs. Just weren't able to get those timely hits.
Yeah, I mean, the offense was 2 for 13 with the runners in scoring position, as you mentioned, which feeds into leaving 11 guys on base. They also struck out 12 times. And you mentioned Marcell Ozuna after what was a really hot start. I mean, he's still hitting the ball hard some of the time, but he's cooled off a little bit in the last week. So we'll see if he's able to make some adjustments to the league, perhaps not really being as aware of him as he came back around and really seemed to kind of recapture the magic of 2020. It's a constant game of adjustments, and the league is going to continue to adjust, and Braves hitters, I think, are going to have to do the same. We're going to get you set up for game 3 of this series as Kyle Wright will be on the mound for the Braves. One other quick note, though, about Wednesday's action. It was happening in Gwinnett. It was Ronald Acuna Jr., 2 hits in 5 trips to the plate. He did strike out a couple of times, but more importantly, he played 9 innings in right field. I believe the plan, at least as it was reported, was that Acuna would play 7 innings on Wednesday night, then play again on Thursday for the Braves AAA affiliate. Then I guess they're going to kind of reassess where he's at afterwards. I know I saw a number of different reports, including Gabe Burns of the AJC, my friend Maria Martin of 11 Alive, saying that Ronald feels like when they call, he's ready, feels better than he ever has. Whether that's hyperbole or not, the Braves are a better team with Ronald Acuna Jr. We'll see when he's going to return to Atlanta. It could be sooner than later. It could be on this upcoming road trip, if nothing else. We're going to get you set for game 3. Before we do, though, betonline.net is your number one source for betting stats and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's basketball playoffs and all the MLB action. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, live betting, playoffs, esports, and more. BetOnline.net, where the game starts. It is game 3 at Truist Park. It's a 7:20 first pitch Eastern time on Thursday night. It's Kyle Wright, 2-0, ERA 1.06. Our old friend Drew Smiley, the former Brave, 1-1, 2.45 ERA. I would say advantage Braves on this one, Jake, because Kyle Wright has looked like anything but a question mark in the Braves rotation this year.
Yeah, but I'm done making predictions because I thought Charlie Morton was a good matchup as well. But yeah, and I do like Kyle Wright in this one if he continues to stay aggressive in the zone, as we've seen. This Cubs team does not strike out a lot. They foul off a lot of pitches, going to work deep counts. So he needs to be super aggressive in the zone with that sinker, trying to create that weak contact, not getting deep into counts, because the Braves need him to go deep in this game. Matzek won't be available. Jansen is likely not available. I mean, you're looking at Will Smith probably going to be set as your closer in this game if needed. Darren O'Day is available, possibly AJ Minter, but they're going to need Kyle Wright to give them some innings. He can't be racking up those pitches early against this Cubs team. Like I said, that will foul off some pitches. They will work some deep counts, and they'll put the ball in play. So I want to see Kyle Wright be aggressive, and I want to see this Braves offense score some runs, get some hits. I don't care who's on the other side right now. They need to start getting some big hits, putting up some runs on the board.
Yeah, need to start making those adjustments as we talked about early. The Braves offense has been kind of up and down, and there seems to have been a little bit more down than there has been up. A couple of big games, couple of big innings here and there, but really not the kind of run scoring that we would expect out of this club, which again will only get better once they get Acuna back at the top of the order. But they got to handle business up and until he does walk through that door. And their business on Thursday night is Game 3 against the Cubs, looking for their first series win of 2022. Braves have not won any of their first 5 series of the season. The first time that's happened since way back in 1990. So it's been a minute since that's happened. Kyle Wright, Drew Smyly in Game 3, Braves and Cubs, 7:20 Eastern Time, first pitch at Truist Park. That is your matchup for Thursday. As always, we appreciate you joining us here on the Locked On Braves postcast, part of the all-new Locked On Sports Atlanta. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and Locked On Braves, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Grant McAuley. He's Jake Mastroianni. Once again, your final score, it was the Braves coming up short to the Cubs by a 6-3 score on Wednesday night at Truist Park. We will catch you tomorrow for the series finale between these two teams right here on the Locked On Sports Braves postcast. Until then, so long, everyone.